welcome to Unapologetically You, an authentic journey to healing. This is the podcast that dives deep into the raw, real, and transformative process of embracing your true self. Join Jenny and Ashley as they share stories, insights, and practical wisdom, plus more than a few laughs and tears from their own lives so you can heal, grow, and live unapologetically. Whether you're on your own healing journey or simply seeking inspiration, this space is all about you embracing authenticity without fear or shame. It's time to make a move from a relationship to a relationship. Now, here are your hosts, Jenny and Ashley, who are proud to take this worthy journey right alongside you and are truly happy you're here.
Today, we're back. We're getting into the red flags, green flags, and maybe some yellow flags of dating.
We talk about a lot of dating things and stuff, but I do feel like some of this stuff can be used even if you're married.
Yeah.
Because I think even in marriage,
in a relationship,
or if you are in a relationship too, you still we tend to pick out things that or question different points in a relationship. Like, is this a red flag? Like, should I be with this person? Did I ignore this? So I think sometimes it's not. Yeah, if you're just joining in,
singles.
we're not just dating. It's not just for singles.
It's really just
relationships in general, and being, unapologetic with who you are, authentic, all that stuff.
And always being true to who you are and listening to your instincts. And something doesn't feel right. It's usually not.
Yeah, you said a good line there. Something doesn't feel right. It's usually not. But we
explore it.
Explore
if it. Doesn't feel right.
Doesn't
explore it.
Yeah, explore it. Don't immediately be like, oh. Well,
so you have something that has recently happened in your life that I remember we had talked about it, and you were almost ready to walk away.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm dating, and so again, we were talking about I like a man that is alpha. And I need a man that is as a leader, and I need a man that takes charge. And those are just things that I have realized that I am attracted to and that I like.
Well, and it puts you in your feminine.
Yes. And we talked about there's masculine and there's feminine. We all have both sides of that, men, females, whatever. It's how, what do you feel most comfortable in? A lot of women like to be alpha females.
Yeah, see,
I'm
more like an alpha male.
Yeah. And I don't want to be. I want to be in my feminine. And again, there's certain times career-wise, leadership roles, like, yes, you got to be in your masculine with things. But in a relationship, I want to be kept in my feminine. But I do have boundaries. Yeah. And I had been, talking to this guy who is an extreme alpha male. And that is how he was presenting himself. He was very clear about it. And he was very clear about the fact that this is what his role was, and he needed somebody that was not going to challenge that or be in their masculine.
Now, before you go on to the story, it could be a problem. I understand I'm all about being in my feminine in a relationship. However, it could be a problem if there is a man that is so much in his masculine that you cannot question him, or he is not open to suggestions, or he is someone that sees you more of an object.
There's a difference
someone
between
that's so controlling. I don't think they're really looking at a woman or a man as it's more of like an object, a possession.
Yes, and so you have to kind of be aware of the difference between, there's a difference between being an alpha male or an alpha female and then being controlling and possessive.
Those are issues. I mean, those are more wounds issues.
Yeah. So you got to kind of understand, like, where is that coming from and what is the line on that? And so I was talking to this guy, and he was very, very much in that space. And I liked that. Like I said, I am attracted to that. So it was like, oh, great, we fit. But then there was the, certain things of what I could and could not have conversations about through text
Through text or in general?
Through text. There was a
Okay.
time and place for text, and there's a time and place to have conversations. And so he was very clear about if I was texting something that conversation wasn't allowed through text.
Okay, when he says that conversation's not allowed through text, how did he say it?
Well, we'll get into all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, he said, I will not deal with being questioned or second guessed or assumptions made about my whereabouts or what I'm doing. It is something that I will not deal with. And I was like, dang. So for me, those were like red flags that were starting very quickly. And he wanted me, it was very like, if I had to put in the effort, I needed to show, there was a lot of like his demands, they were red flags stacking up in my mind.
Right.
But I wasn't talking about these things with him either.
You're just like taking him in.
I'm taking,
you're observing.
yeah. And I find myself being like, what the fuck? Right. And that's what I
Right.
said to you. Like, what the fuck?
Right, because we talked about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the whereabouts, though.
Yeah.
When you're getting to know somebody, when you say he doesn't want you to question his whereabouts, I mean, it is a normal conversation to talk about what you're doing, what you have going on that day. So
Yes.
if someone like shut me down because I had asked a question about where they were or what they did, we'd have a problem.
Right.
Like,
and
we'd
we
have
had
a
a problem.
serious problem.
We had a problem.
Yeah.
And that conversation led to us not speaking anymore. And I was just like, and had insecurities and I had things that I had to work on and I wasn't ready to be with someone like him. Know me well enough to do that. That was
Right.
my whole whatever.
Right.
So it was like, good riddance. We had a big laugh about it at
Right, we did. Is he? Because first thing that comes to my mind, the don't question me about my whereabouts. It reminds me of a man. And I'm not
Yes,
saying I'm going to
yes.
make my observation. Reminds
Yes.
me of a man that wants to possibly maybe be with somebody, but wants that person to be submissive.
Yes.
So he could maybe be with other people.
Yeah.
It's almost
That's-
like training and grooming of like, this is going to be the pace of our relationship.
And
You're
I'm
basically
in-
going to shut up
and
while
I'm in
I do
charge.
A, B, and C, and D.
Correct.
And I'm in charge, and this is how it's going to roll out.
Correct.
Almost like, and then putting the feelers out, like, what woman is going to be like, hey, well, he gives me A, B, and C, so I'm going to put up with this.
Right. And some women would stick around and be like, okay,
Depending.
Whatever,
or the
yeah.
their situation.
I will not do well with this.
What changed?
So then he texts, we start talking. And I'm like, okay, this can go two ways. I could be like, fuck you, dude. But let's remember,
He's pulling some like 50 Shades of Grey stuff. I gotta throw that out there.
Yes.
I mean,
And-
that's what I'm like
yes.
feeling.
So I could say, red flags, fuck you. I have no desire to talk to you. Or I can talk about this situation with this man and see what he says and how he respects my boundaries. And let's just talk about it because we didn't. It was.
and you have nothing to lose by talking about it.
There's continued messages to me of the text messaging and what's appropriate and what's not. When you're text messaging somebody and you're having conversations, you put your own tone to those messages.
Right.
There's a lot of miscommunication that can happen through text.
Yes, agreed. And I
Right?
don't think serious conversations should be through text. I feel like that as well. I really do. I
Okay.
would rather talk to somebody face to face about something serious or over the phone, because texting, going back and forth and having a serious conversation through text, I think can really get miscommunicated.
Thanks, Jenny. So
Honestly, I'm okay with fun
I'm
stuff. through
scared
text.
to have those conversations
Okay.
in person, so I prefer I could hide behind a text message.
Okay. How about on the phone?
I
that
start to
uncomfortable
clam
too?
up. Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't get my thoughts out.
Got it.
Because
Okay.
past relationships have taught me that when I talk about my feelings, bad consequences come from that.
Ooh, okay.
If I can text it, I can almost hide behind it. And
So-
you can't see that my vulnerability.
I'm going to assume a lot of people feel the same way. So if you are someone that wants to have these serious conversations over text, think about it. Why
Why
is
are you
it
doing
so
it?
hard for you to have these talks. And I know they're uncomfortable, but they're also crucial to
Vulnerability.
It's vulnerability, and they're also crucial to boundaries and your self-respect and really staying true to who you are as a person.
Yes.
And not fearing the outcome, because the fearing of the outcome is, well, is this guy going to then break up with me or not want to be with me? Or is this girl going to break up with me if we have this conversation? But that means that person wasn't right for you.
Correct. And sometimes
You have to
you
hide
don't
behind
want
the
to.
screen. That's a problem.
Yeah. You don't want to come to that reality too soon, right? So.
Sooner the better, though.
Right.
And that's in anything. The sooner you find out, the
better. Yeah.
Right.
You're not
Why
postponing the
wait?
inevitable.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have this conversation talking. And he says exactly that. I'm like, I'm taking when you're texting me and telling me that I can't text you a certain conversation or I can't say A, B, and C. And I'm like, who are you to do that? He goes, I think that you have misinterpreted what I'm doing. And he said exactly what you just said. He goes, I don't think that important and serious conversations should be had through text. He's like, I'm a communicator. He's like, and when you want to have a serious conversation, he's like, you are putting me in a spot that I say something that you misinterpret. You're not going to talk to me about it. You're going to run with it. And now we have an issue where if we just talk about it, he goes, texts are fun for, hey, how are you? How's your day? I'm thinking of you. He goes, those things. They
I agree.
are not
like lighthearted,
there
fun,
for
flirty,
deep
whatever.
conversation.
Yeah.
Now I understand why he's getting irritated with me every time I'm trying to have this conversation. And him saying to me, there you go again, texting me something when I've asked you numerous times to stop. He's trying to allow me, but he's, yes. But that's an alpha male too. But again, he's expressing his frustration of, why do you keep doing this? It's causing problems. Why telling me and I'm still not listening? And I don't say I'm not listening as in a submissive like I'm a child. He's clearly expressing what bothers him, and I am ignoring it and continuing to do it.
Well, that's a need of his. So a need of his is he needs to be able to communicate with somebody about serious things, whether over the phone, in person.
Yes.
You know, we all, so that sounds like
Yes.
that is like a real need that he has.
Yes.
So he's not okay with just the texting back and forth, something serious.
Yeah. Our world has transformed into more texting conversations than that. And so I think we've just gotten used to having
Which
those.
texting could be so misleading, though, sometimes.
You can make your own assumptions because
Yes.
you're assuming tone and all that. Okay, so misunderstanding number one cleared up. Then we get into the conversation of me asking him his whereabouts and the response I got from that.
I'm interested in this one.
He said, go read back to what you text me and exactly what you said. He's like, because you didn't say, hey, I didn't hear from you, what was going on, or it made me upset that like we talk every day and then for 6 hours all of a sudden I didn't hear from you.
Okay.
Are you okay? Or how was your day? He goes, what did you say to me? I said, I asked you where you were at and what you were doing. He goes, that's not what you said to me. And I'm like, yes, I did. And I said,
Ashley, what'd you say to him?
my text, because he had said he was going to get a massage, is when I didn't, my first text to him wasn't, how was your day? You know, what did you end up doing? I didn't hear from you. It was, must have been a long massage. That's the first thing I said, because 6 hours, I didn't hear from you. The second thing, he had replied back, pardon.
That's a big assumption. I mean,
Yes.
saying it like that, if somebody, I mean,
And he said,
that's
pardon?
That's an assumption right there.
Yeah, it was. And I said, I don't know. I said, I don't hear from you for 6 hours. Were you with someone? Mm-hmm. And he said, yes, I was. And I said back, oh, a woman? And he said, no, my kids. This isn't going to work if this is what you're going to do. And I had to do some self-reflection in the way that I approached a man that is very clear that he's an alpha male and is very clear in communication. And now here I am texting this conversation, and now I've made assumptions, and now I have said to this, I didn't ask him, he's right, I did not ask him what he had done. I did not ask why I made an assumption that he was with someone, and that my first person when he said yes was a woman.
This is perfect for the listeners, because I feel, I mean, men probably do this. I feel women do this a lot, where you made an assumption. You told yourself a story, like you said. I didn't hear from this guy. He must be with a woman. Who knows what else you were telling yourself in that story? He doesn't really care about me. I don't know what else you were telling yourself in that story.
Yeah.
However, though, it does go back to your self-worth. Number one, you're dating right now, right? So it's not that you're in a serious relationship.
Correct.
And even if you were, I do think that approach would not be the proper approach to take initially.
Yeah, I know.
So I have to give him that.
Yeah. So
He should have explained it though right then
Yeah.
and there to make you understand. Instead of, hey, this isn't going to work.
I think he
maybe
was
should
so
have
taken
explained
back.
it to
Yeah.
you, like more right then and there
Yes.
about what the issue
Yes.
was on his part, opposed to you just because when you had told me he doesn't want me questioning his whereabouts.
And this again
what
is
he
before
does.
now we've had.
And I'm not.
yeah.
When we think questioning, I mean, I understand. I don't think anybody wants to be questioned. I wouldn't want somebody
No.
to really like.
I wouldn't
question
either. I
me.
think
That would
if
make me.
I
I mean,
feel
that would
like
put
if
me on a
man
defense.
had attempted me, and that I would have been like, "The fuck are you doing?"
It would put me in a defensive,
Right.
just because
Yes.
I would think to myself,
don't
"Do
know
you not
you
trust me?"
are-
I mean, and I would I mean, then I would be telling myself a story like, "Why is he?"
Yes.
like
So-
almost being accusatory.
Yes. So my perception of what happened, and this is such a great thing to understand.
because nobody wants to feel accused or attacked.
Well, in
There's a way
our
to approach
perception of how a conversation went, he told me 3 times, go back and read what you, and I'm like, I don't have to. I wrote it. I know what I said. My perception of what I was thinking and what I said was where I was, the story that I told you.
right.
But when you're forced to go back and someone says, no, really look at what you said, you take out being, I guess, the victim of the situation or the whatever, and then you really look at what you said, I was like, oh.
So, but this is a
see.
great topic and a great story because, again, you were leading with a wound that you
Yes.
have
Yes.
at that point. It was almost like your own insecurity.
And remember what I told you he said? You have insecurities that you need to work on before you approach being in a relationship with me, which pissed me off because I didn't want to hear it. And he was exactly right. He was right. It was
That
my
definitely is an
insecurities
insecurity
Yes.
to
Yes.
approach it like that.
Yes. So
I
now
think you-
I'm
'cause you need more
saying
sometimes, and to just throw this out there to the listeners, let's pretend you thought that on some level, your instincts, or you felt that on some level.
That's what he
the
was doing?
approach is, that's what he was doing.
I 100% thought that's what he was
So
yeah.
let's say that instinctually that's how you felt.
Yeah.
The approach would have been maybe to learn more
Yeah.
and not to just dive into
know.
to that.
Well,
so I think
and
that's a good thing for listeners because
you
I
gotta
do
learn
think this
that.
happens all the
Well,
time.
and
you
what do
also
we
have to
preach
check
and what do
yourself.
people preach? Ooh, your instincts, ride with it. They're 100%.
Sometimes it's a core wound.
Correct.
Again, I do feel though, if I'm feeling a certain kind of way about something, I'm not going to just ignore my instinct either, because maybe it is an insecurity I have, or maybe it is a real instinct of something. Right? You have to listen to those instincts.
it's how
I'm
you
going to
approach it.
and I'm going to learn more.
It's how you
and I'm
approach
gonna
it.
I'm gonna just go from there. then
Because
at that
had I
point.
picked up the phone and said, this is what I was feeling, and when you did this, it made me feel this way, and I, just so you know, I was assuming this. I know now he would have had that conversation with me.
But I don't want, okay, and you're right at this for that specific situation. However, though, in the future, if there
Yeah.
was another situation with this man or any man that you felt that way, you also don't want to be silenced or uncomfortable to be able to
No.
approach it. But next,
I said to him, I get that you're an alpha male, and I get that all of this stuff. I said, but sometimes you're so in it that I said it comes off rough. And it comes off, it does. I said, it comes off blunt. I said, and it does hurt my feelings. And I will work on that. He goes, because I did recognize that you're sensitive and I do feel bad. And the last thing I'd want to do is hurt your feelings or make you feel bad about something.
I'm really proud of you, though, for communicating that and letting him know.
But before I would have felt afraid that he would have been like, well, this is who I am, take it or leave it, which is what he was giving off. But that's not it at all.
And again, if he did do that,
Then I would have been like,
then there's your answer.
Yes.
What would you really want to be with someone that is not going to be sensitive to the way that you're really feeling? So if it for
I can
you,
absolutely, anytime that he I said, what you just said hurt my feelings. And he's like, I did not. He's like, I'm sorry. Last night, like, we can have that conversation now. Like, and I feel like now what we're doing is he's allowing me to bring a safety now to saying what I'm feeling.
Good.
And I am allowing him to be softer.
That abrasive approach could very well be part of his defense mechanism.
I think it is.
Part of him guarding himself. So then again, it's like the seek first to understand,
Yes.
really look like, okay, where is that coming from? But the fact that you were able to have that conversation, he was receptive, because
Yeah.
that's key.
Yeah.
Conversations are uncomfortable and hard in relationships, especially when you're first getting to know somebody. But what to really look for is their response, right?
Correct.
How open are they?
Yes.
And then also, like, when they approach you with something, it's great that you also looked within yourself. Like, how
Yeah.
open are you to being like, okay, I can really try to change this, or I'm more aware of this now, or really want a relationship to work, it is important to be able to also look within
faults.
yourself, look at your own insecurities.
And that's what I'm now
And be
more
open.
looking out to. I think he's not even realizing he's healing a part of my insecurities and my self-worth in a way that, like, I have to look at them. Like, he challenges me in a way that I have to look at why I'm responding a certain way, why something is bothering me. Now, to what I thought was red flags, right? I saw in my mind red flags right off, we're done. Where in reality, like, I also have to, you have to be aware and examine. Now, I'm not saying, like, now, fuck everything. I don't care if this man shows me another red flag. No, I'm aware that there are challenges that with this person, I'm going to have to be more, there's going to have to be more communicating, more awareness, and more self-reflection in this to actually understand who this person is.
And when you've been hurt, or, you know, you've been through divorce, or
Yeah.
just different relationships and had your heart broken, and red flags come up, it is easy sometimes to think to yourself, I'm just going to walk away from this. Be easy to look at a red flag and say, you know what, this isn't for me. Sometimes these red flags maybe need to be explored.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you still shouldn't observe. Like, in this situation, because in the beginning, those were some red flags for you, I would have my eyes pretty wide open about those
100%.
things,
Yeah.
because that
Yeah,
was
to
something that
really
was like
see,
in your face.
Is this
of,
acknowledgement of his real?
Right.
Does he see that? Like, because again,
don't just disregard the red
Correct.
flag, but it doesn't mean you have to, like, run from something either.
yeah. Because let's be clear too, a lot of green flags end up being red flags. Just because they're green flags doesn't mean it's a go either, because somebody is putting their best foot forward when you're
In
dating.
the beginning, everybody is putting their best foot forward. Just
So
remember that.
You
I mean,
can't just
that's-
meet someone and they show you all the green flags and you're like, oh my God, like, this guy's perfect or this girl's perfect.
And sometimes things feel like, wow, like, this is
Too good to be true.
amazing
Yeah.
and too good to be true.
Sometimes it is.
Well, and the too good to be true at some point is going to also, there's going to be something. Every relationship has challenges. Every relationship, I do feel like, if we really look, challenges us in ways that only a relationship can do, like our growth, to really look within ourselves. It's definitely a mirror. And relationships, especially romantic relationships, challenge your insecurities are coming up.
yeah.
They really hit insecurities a lot, especially as time
100%.
goes on, too, because things become deeper.
Yeah. We had this conversation. So I 100%, I'm one of those people that, like, oh, I believe in fairy tales and I want the relationship that is a real life fairy tale. And I want the
See,
love
I don't. I feel
story.
like I used to.
Well, yeah, but I am so fixated on that, that I think that my first meeting with somebody needs to be like the rom-com that I just watched. I'm so fixated on the fairy tale. And I kept saying this to him. And he's like, I'm going to tell you something. He's like, and not to hurt your feelings. He's like, because I understand that you want that and you like that. He goes, I do not believe in your fairy tale theory. Sensitive me, immediately, I was like, red flag, we're not going to work. And I was like, oh. And he goes, before you're not okay. He's like, let me explain. He goes, fairy tales are Disney. He's like, in real life, relationships are not Disney. He goes, are there moments that can be that way? Yeah. He goes, but relationships are work and their communication and their trust. He goes, and there's arguments and there's miscommunication. And he goes, so if you're expecting that everything is going to be a fairy tale, you have these expectations that aren't real. He goes, and I
agree with
live
that.
in real life. He goes, and I have realistic thoughts. He goes, and you don't. And he goes,
And I agree with that. I had like a unrealistic expectation on how relationships should be, right?
Yes.
So I did have more of this fairy tale,
Yep.
like unrealistic expectation.
Yes.
But then as you get into these relationships and they deepen, that's really the beauty, the messiness, how when we talked about on the show,
Yes.
the messiness, the good, the bad, the laughter, the tears, all of it is sometimes not, a lot of that is not fun sometimes, and it's super uncomfortable. And there are sometimes you want to walk away. Those, though, I feel like is what really adds more deeper meaning to a relationship, where the fairy tales are so surface. And I feel like at one time I had those unrealistic expectations, and it made me more disappointed because
Somebody
I
can't live up
felt
to
like,
that.
okay, maybe I'm with the wrong person. This person must not be right for me. And then as I got to see, and as I got in these longer and deeper relationships, I realized like this is really the beauty of being with someone, embracing all the messiness and accepting each other for who you are and through it all.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. Like when you're with someone, for a very long time, I mean, things happen in your life.
Yes.
And they see you through messiness stuff,
good, the
messy.
bad, the ugly.
You see them through messy. And it's really about sticking with someone.
Yeah. And you don't always have to agree or feed into somebody else's perception of love, because
It's, that little girl in you where somebody's coming and taking
that was my words. I
fantasy
got off the phone
away.
about it, and I was thinking, and I'm like, maybe it's time to let go of this idea of that. I think that love should be a fairy tale.
Your perception of love and having a relationship with somebody needs to like morph and change.
Yes.
It's not that now, again, I do think there are parts of a relationship.
And that's what he
that
said. There are
sometimes
parts.
feels like a
Yes,
fairy
and
tale.
he said that too. Yes.
Yeah, like you feel it and it's so magical.
But that's not every
and
day.
you have to hold on to those parts when they,
Yeah.
when they come. You have to really like embrace those moments. Someone had once told me in the beginning of a relationship, it always feels magical, right? But really, true love starts when you've been with somebody for a long time.
I believe that now. I
Because
do. I
when you
think-
really go through things together, the challenges of life, and really stick through the bad, the good, the bad, that's really the definition of true love. Because it's so easy to be with someone when things are wonderful and when you're having all these like beautiful moments.
Yeah.
That's the easy part, right?
Well, and here's something I also know about myself is I am actively searching out red flags, and I am actively searching out reasons to not be with someone.
I think we
And
all do when we've been hurt, though.
Yeah, and
Still keep that beautiful, whimsical, because
it is part of who I am.
It is part
it
of,
is how I love.
Who I am as
yeah,
well.
it is part
so
of how
like to
I
bring
love.
that magic.
Like I am always,
into-
me too. I'm always
Yes.
going to be that person,
Me
and I
too.
don't want to give that up because it's part of who I am. Right?
And I-
I will create those moments.
And I don't feel
Right.
like you have to give that up.
Yeah.
It's really tapping within the magic within yourself and bringing that to a relationship. However, though, you also have to know that when this relationship hits hard times, that doesn't mean that's not your person. Now, when a relationship hits hard times, that's also a time to really observe how somebody else reacts. Because I also think that sometimes when a relationship hits a hard time, that's how you really know it. That's how you really know, is this my person?
Well, and there
with
must
the
be
way
something
they react to things.
They're not like, sometimes I'm like, oh. So I always, when I start talking to someone, and I will say, and it starts getting to a point, I always say this one prayer at night. I will say to God, if this person is not from you, if this person was not sent from you for a lesson or something, if this person is not meant to be in my life, and it is only by my understanding and my will that they are, remove them without explanation. Remove them from my life, remove the connection, because I don't want to go in a direction that has not been, carved by you, Lord. And I will
love
say
that.
that prayer. And there has not been on my life, on all of those that I love, there has not been a moment I did not wake up the next morning. And if that person wasn't from God, that they were removed, like I prayed, without explanation.
Wow.
Literally gone.
Wow.
No
God's
more
answering your
communication.
prayers. Yeah.
I am a person that is like, what does the future hold?
Yeah.
What's going to happen 6 months from now? How is this going to work? Like, I want to find the problem before the problem happens, and I want to address it and make sure it doesn't happen. And he's
Okay to look ahead. It's just you don't want to get so fixated on the future ahead. You really do want to try to stay grounded in the present.
That's so hard.
And get to know the person. I think once you're with somebody for a while, it is a little bit different starting to look into the future more and having those talks. But in the beginning, I mean, really just get to know who you're with.
Yeah.
And sometimes we become so future focused that we're not really looking at the person at hand. You know, who
You're
are
looking
they?
at
What
the
kind of
idea of
character
them
do
in
they
the
have?
future.
Because sometimes the future could just paint such a beautiful picture that you're missing.
Well, I painted a fairy tale.
Well, right. And so that you're really missing what's going on in the present. I mean, you ever hear where, some people fall in love with somebody's potential,
Yes.
not really who they are. Well, when you're falling in love with somebody's potential, be very careful because you're not really looking at the character and the person who they are. You're just looking at the picture that might be painted before you.
That
Or
you put
sometimes
in
you're
your
making
head.
up your own story.
Yeah. I'm feeling like dating is becoming more of a self-awareness thing. And I do believe that God keeps you single and in that world for a season to become closer to him, to recognize the things that you have not before, to bring light to things, insecurities, things in the past that stop you from being on the path that he actually has for you. And I do think that dating, because you're interacting with different personalities and you have that time alone, allows you to do that. And I do not believe that the next relationship I'm in, I do not believe God intends for me to keep going through this, which is why he is keeping me in this space for so long, because there are lessons that I need to learn. And he is bringing different people in my life to learn those so that I'm prepared for the person he has made for me.
God is always preparing us for
Yes.
different things in our life. And so I agree with you wholeheartedly. So every night, me and my kids have been reading like a quote from the Bible.
Oh, I like that.
And I feel like lately what's really been coming up for me is to just surrender to God's plan.
Yep.
God has a plan for my life. God is leading my purpose.
Yep.
And I'm always praying about, my purpose and surrendering to God and embrace the season of life that you're in. Because you are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. If you are out there and you're single and you're dating, really use this as a time for self-awareness.
Yeah.
If you are in a romantic relationship, it is such also a good time to be self-aware when that person says something to you. Don't just get so defensive and right away try to brush them off because you think they're being critical.
Or don't
especially
get
if their
your
approach is
feelings
okay.
hurt so bad.
Like,
That don't take it so personal.
Think about it, process it,
What is-
because
what
it
is the
could
trauma?
be a
Yeah.
moment that you really do need to tap in and have self-awareness.
What core wound is it triggering that you
As soon as
have
someone
to
tells
work
us
on?
something about ourselves, though,
Weird.
right away we
Yeah.
want to shut down, become defensive. I don't think it's always healthy to do that, though.
Well, and a lot of
depending your
times
approach.
when you recognize, again, what core wound did that trigger that you unintentionally hurt them to begin with, or in a way, right? Like what is the real
I agree, because
underlying
even
thing that
myself-
argument's about?
There has, but I mean, I've had moments where my approach wasn't always the best, and then afterwards, I did feel bad because I thought about it and thought. Also important to know where the other person could be coming from. Again, seek first to understand. Not that it's okay or to excuse their behavior, but just try to understand
Yes.
a little better and know they're also coming from probably a hurt place.
I think if anyone takes anything from this show today, it is exactly that sentence. Seek first to understand before you make your determination about something and react.
Don't always take things personal, because a lot of times the way somebody's reaction might have nothing to do with you. We do tend to take things very personal when sometimes it's more something with them, right? Their issue, something they need to heal.
Well, and
All have triggers, right?
Yes.
That trigger us. So with that man, let's say that's a trigger.
Yes.
When a woman starts questioning him or asking where he's at. That's his trigger. However, though, if he is in a relationship with somebody, he also has to understand if they're like, hey, what did you do today? Or they maybe do ask him. He also has to understand, like, there is a part of normalcy there.
Correct.
And he can't just come at them like they're doing something wrong. Because then those things can also turn toxic, abusive. I mean, then you got, like, you don't want to ever be silenced in a relationship.
Correct. And that's what I said.
If somebody tries to silence you, get out.
Right. So I'm a question person. I will ask you
and a
things.
Man that's not doing anything and wants you to feel safe. Really, now, no one wants to be questioned all the time or in this accusing way.
Like, you don't need like 20 questions, investigative type questioning somebody.
Right. But if you're asking simple questions and somebody's coming at you and trying to tell you that you're doing something wrong, you also have to take heed that as well.
Correct. So again, and I won't be silenced ever. So if that's the direction it's going, then I know, okay, that doesn't work for me.
Seek
first to understand.
So the quote today is seek first to understand. So qualities of an alpha male that are healthy: confidence, leadership skills, regulation of emotions. You want to be with somebody who definitely can control their emotions.
Yeah.
Assertiveness in a healthy way. And courage. Somebody that takes chances. I feel like a lot of women push men into whether it be commitment but I feel like when a man needs to be pushed into a commitment, that's not either he's not choosing you, or B, it's just not the right relationship.
Correct.
And that is confident, knows who he is, and knows he wants to be with you, doesn't really need pushed into a commitment.
They don't.
Or to a man that knows what he wants will move
Men were
things
designed
along.
to pursue. So if you find yourself being the one that is doing that, and he's allowing you to, and he's not actively pursuing you also, he's not interested. And you can ask any man that. I don't need to be a female sitting on a podcast telling you that.
Right. And so don't question it. You don't have to sit and think, does he want to be with me? Does he not? And if right now you are in a relationship and there is something that keeps coming up in your relationship, an issue, really think about it.
Yeah.
Seek first to understand possibly where your partner is coming from and ask yourself, is that an old wound you may be carrying? Right? Good luck out there.
Right. Bye, guys.
If you have a story you'd like to share, or if there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover on the podcast, we'd love to hear your ideas.
Get in touch with us through email or our social media pages. Links below.